you go to school? And who's your daddy?
What do you think of what's going on right now, mate?
These evil little invisible parasites.
Satan-worshipping Freemason moron.
Do you understand what I'm saying?
We're not run by factions.
Get the fuck out of camera!
There are much more powerful international forces in play.
Is this pink guy? Is this what pink guy is? I don't fucking know what's happening.
Please go outside and look at the mini quickly.
It's been crazy, guys, but guess what? It's how it is, mate.
Mate, because I want to do you slowly.
But I ain't spending any time on it.
Welcome to the Conditional Release Program, a podcast that delves into the netherworld of cults, crims and con artists. I'm Jack the Insider, otherwise known as Peter Hoisted for tax purposes.
And I'm Joel Hill, and we've got a show full of politics, dumb politicians, and subsets who are even dumber, if that is possible.
Yes, well, before we start, breaking news as we record this on the 7th of April, Easter Tuesday, which used to be a thing in Victoria. Ben Roberts-Smith has been arrested at Sydney Airport and charged with 5 murders in Afghanistan. We've all been wondering when this was going to happen, and now it has. BRS is bail denied and will spend the night in the lockup somewhere in Sydney, and there'll be a bail hearing, I believe, tomorrow. He may well get bail, but
probably with his passport taken off him and all that sort of stuff.
He won't be freewheeling. I think there'll be some fairly strong restrictions. It would be unusual, but this is a very unusual case for anyone charged with 5 murders to be granted bail.
I would say one of the bail restrictions will be don't shoot any Afghanis.
Stop drinking out of that prosthetic leg.
That will probably be on the list. And I think there's 2 very reasonable bail conditions. I actually don't oppose this application whatsoever.
It's finally come to pass. I mean, maybe it would have, maybe it wouldn't have without the defamation trial against 9 Media. But it's one of those cases where he has stuck his chin out, taken the checkbook out, major investment of Kerry Stokes money. And not only come up short on the defo with millions and millions of dollars of costs, but now he's facing lifetime in jail. There's no doubt about that.
Yeah.
So very interesting story. Well done, obviously, to the journalists involved, and Nick McKenzie, Chris Masters in particular, Perry Duffin as well. Well done to the those journalists. It's unlike. I don't think this has occurred in Australian military history.
It's an interesting one. Yeah, apparently he can keep his VC. There's laws around that. You can be hanged with your VC around your neck, some shit like that.
Really?
It goes back to something I read some snippet on it today. I just hope that Ben, if he does get bail, he doesn't get pictured or videoed sitting around a very strangely placed plate with a card on it, singing "Ben fought the law and Ben won." Because
the law won.
Because I think the law is still working on its strategy there. That's what Bruce did, and he's an idiot. Yeah,
really have a big think about it before you launch defamation proceedings. I think that's the lesson here, and maybe
especially against us.
If you find yourself in a non-combat situation in a war zone, maybe don't kill people.
Yeah, maybe don't.
Allegedly.
Yeah, but maybe don't. Maybe do. I don't know.
All right. Well, back to this episode and what we're dealing with today. Folks, we've got boobs from arsehole to breakfast time on this episode. Gigantic inflatable breasts, which we've stuck to our otherwise flat chests under our impossibly short T-shirts, and we demand privacy and prayers to enjoy them.
That is completely reasonable. Look, it wasn't until we started our own bimbification that we found out we're actually both size 8.
I'm wearing a size 8 T-shirt now, and it's actually cutting off the blood.
Yes. Well, you don't need blood. It's mostly air. Hot air and bullshit.
Yes, folks, pray for our privacy after you've finished praying for Christy Nome and her big-titted husband's privacy, with the basis of those prayers being presumably God killing her husband and make everything all right again.
Yeah, well, if he was a dog, she could do it herself. Anyway.
There have been so many good jokes, and puppies. Of course, we've had puppies and dogs and double entendre everywhere.
Exactly.
And we'll get stuck into that story a little later. And when you have garishly oversized breasts, the next thing you'll need is beer.
Well, actually, you have that wrong, Jack. The way to get said breasts is to drink beer. Yes, folks,
Yes,
the
I
humble
see.
hop is a source of phytoestrogens.
Working like a charm on you, Joel.
It's doing a fucking
Doing its
bang-up
job.
job. So, look, it's like estrogen, but plants, phytoestrogen, phytoplant. I don't know, it's Latin probably. While the effect of this is negligible unless you are truly a degenerate drinker, because for the tits to actually grow, you need the alcohol to stunt your testosterone production, we have that covered.
Yeah.
Both. Because the CBCO IPA is basically tits in a can.
Tits
It's
in a
hoppy as
can.
fuck, and it's nudging 7% alcohol, so you
Wow.
can get both done at once. It is the beer of choice for corrupt Trump officials in all genders, because all they want is tits, but only some of us are prepared to do what it takes to get them. Do the hard work. The hard work.
Doing the hard yards. Those prepared to do the hard yards.
And the hard work doesn't come free. It's CRP10 to get the code,
That's right.
and you're going to need to order a pallet, because those tits aren't going to grow themselves, lads. You've got some drinking to do.
You'll
Get
need
on with it.
You'll need lots to look like Bryon. And
Bryon,
you'll need
yeah, I
lots.
know.
You'll need a pallet load.
It's American spelling.
Order
It's
it now and start drinking and sit and admire your breasts as they grow into enormous size.
It'll be beautiful.
And in a new segment today, we will answer the question that's on everybody's lips and breasts. Has Trump's America gone beyond parody?
Yeah, it stopped being funny a while ago. I'm just sad now.
Well, it's impossible to satirize. That's
Yeah.
that's the argument that I would make, because on its own, the news is so weird that you can't really poke fun at it.
The truth is stranger than fiction, man.
It's fun on its own.
Giving us a real challenge on this podcast, because that's kind of what we do. Oh, well. So, look, just a quick reminder that tits aren't free, and if you support what we do, we can get the tits, and that is basically through putting money through our Patreon. We're only going to spend it on tits, and by that I mean beer.
Yes, he does. And go to www.patreon.com/the Conditional Release Program and feast your eyes on all the bonus extras you can eat. But now we turn our minds to cookers of the local variety, and one bad one in particular in the Conditional Release Program's news. Now, without going into too much gory detail, Desi Freeman was shot dead by up to 5 Special Operation Group officers. The way this tactical force operates is they squeeze off a blast of rounds, around 10 per second. And Freeman was hit by 5 police officers squeezing their automatic
That's a
rifles
lot.
for about a second each. So I put him being hit about 40 or more times. So he was looking like Swiss cheese by the time they finished with him. And Vic Paul had to use DNA to confirm his identity.
Mm-hmm.
And now the police investigation turns to who, if anyone, helped or harboured Freeman. There's certainly a lot of evidence that he was assisted. On Easter Sunday, a man and woman were detained by Vic Paul and released pending further inquiries, according to the Australian, amid some most excellent reporting from John Ferguson, Liam Mendes, and Mohammed El Faris.
Yes, 2 associates of cop killer Desi Freeman have been released without charge after being questioned by police over his movements in the wake of the deadly Porapunka, ambush. Porapunka. The man and woman, who are not related to Freeman, not by blood at least, but they're all brothers, were arrested at a separate properties in Victoria's northeast around 7 a.m. on Saturday as part of Task Force Summit's investigation, before later being released pending further inquiries.
And this comes after the Australian reported items on the Thologalong property where Freeman was shot dead would indicate that he had received help from some quarters, included provision of food, booze, bottled gas, and a couple of burner phones.
Oh, where'd you get those from, mate? So Freeman, 56, formerly of a Hino bus outside of Porapunka in Victoria's Alpine Country, survived for months on the run, even if for most of that time he would have been running on the spot, because he was sitting in a shed or an old farmhouse as his hair and beard grew, waiting for the next food drop, coming from no one in particular. And police said he wasn't malnourished when finally tracked down, which is a hint, and clearly he hadn't been shopping at local Woolworths either, but someone had. Or Uber Eats, maybe.
Can't see him slipping into Woolies and get down to what's their booze line?
Dan Murphy's,
beer, wine, and spirits or something.
BIS, yeah.
Yeah, and slip it in there for a carton or two. Can't see that happening.
No.
I love how they've described him here as formerly of a Hino bus outside Port Pucker, and that's made me think, Joel.
Oh, dangerous!
When we saw the property in Port Pucker, which he was sort of a tenant of, and there were other people living there as well, and then we saw what was going on the Logalong property. The first thing I've got to say is, Sovsits, clean up your yards.
Yeah,
it's just a disgrace. You've got bloody car wrecks and shit everywhere.
Yeah,
tidy it up. Don't make us come down there.
Yeah, no, totally agree.
Also, at this point, it must be said, and I did not know this until recently, Joe, that Freeman was receiving the DSP, the Disability Services Pension.
Yeah.
Now, I don't know the nature of his disability, but it can't be physical because
Wow.
he's just traipsed. There's nothing stopping him working physically. At
He
least.
does seem rather able-bodied, yes.
Yeah, he's sort of been clambering around Victoria's Alpine region for a while.
Yep.
But I don't know what the basis of it is. But the thing that strikes me about this is, like so many soft sits, he was sucking on the tit of the Commonwealth, on the taxpayers' hard-earned, waiting for his fortnightly check from the illegal government.
Yeah, not so illegal every Thursday. Yeah.
Every fortnight, yeah. I'm still struggling to understand how soft sits rationalise this.
I think
most
do.
Most of them are on a kickback from the government.
Yeah, they're not people with intelligence or integrity. They're just people who want to find cheat codes in society so they don't have to do anything. They are the laziest and dumbest people in any room. If there's more than one person in the room, which in his case has not been the case for a while. Oh, well, maybe there is. We don't know. So, look, in a vacuum, speculation is inevitable. We'll probably do some later on. And maybe he did actually spend time in a cave or a disused gold mine, something more fun. But realistically, sort of being spirited to safety by collaborators unknown. That's what's really going on here. 2 gas bottles by the container door, a small new wood stove, not just some old relic that's been trashed in the yard. This all happening at his final destination, suggesting he might have been planning to stay there for the long haul. This may have been a part of the plan all along, or maybe...
Now, the owner of the property, a man by the name of Andrew Sutherland, was known as a recluse. He would catch carp, presumably in the Murray, which is not far away from there, and then he'd mush them all up and sell it as fertiliser. But he was known as a bloke who didn't spend a lot of time there, but he left the property for a trip to Tasmania. There is no evidence that he is involved in this in any way. And fortunately, he took his gun collection with him, including high-powered rifles, which
people do that.
On the property there, where Freeman was shot dead, there was a gun cabinet.
Yeah.
That was empty because Mr. Sutherland had emptied it. So that was fortuitous.
Nice move.
He's not considered a suspect by police. He left for Tasmania just prior to Christmas. Clearly someone knew the property was uninhabited, at least for a period of time. The Australian reported that Freeman's choice to take up residence at Sutherland's property was not a good idea for a man on the run from police.
Yeah. So, look, the helpers got slack, and so did Freeman, choosing a resting place on the Murray River near a public picnic spot across the road. There's only a few trees to sort of hide movements, and surrounded by heavily treed hills and a quiet farming community that's always suspicious of the slightest movement that's out of place.
Yeah, that's it. I mean, if you've seen the sort of aerial shots of the property, you can see that there's not a lot of cover there.
Yeah.
And there's one road in, one road out.
Yeah.
There was also a large amount of grog on the property. Now, we like grog. We're not opposed to it. We're not shaming him over
It's
this,
how we get our tits.
But it's right. But that booze did not belong to Sutherland, which we've actually had John Ferg ring up Sutherland and say, "What's your preferred beer, mate?" And he goes, "I like a Cooper's Green." And he goes, "Okay," because they found something else there that wasn't Cooper's Green.
Yeah,
anyway, go on, Joel.
Yeah. So, look, the answer to Freeman's sloppiness could very well lie in the dozen or so empty bottles of Carlton Dry left behind at the scene on Monday after Freeman was gunned down, or the bottle of vodka lying near the entrance to the shipping container he'd been sleeping in, or the carton bearing the Stoneleigh wine insignia. Now, as you said, it's not the property owner's drink of choice. He drinks Cooper's Green or Cooper's.
Yes.
We also found that the cops found dishes outside his container, and they've been fingerprinted by police as they sort of try to figure out who's been helping him. But look, I'm just going to say it is possible that Desi did not drink the Carlton Dry by choice. This was just inflicted upon him. Maybe the guys who were helping him were getting sick of his shit.
Look, I do love a Carlton Draft, but the Carlton Dry is not a good drop.
It's shit. And you know what? You're not going to get tits that way. There's no hops in it. You're only getting the booze. You got to drink a lot of booze to fuck up your endocrine system for that to happen. I just don't see any point to this. But look, I reckon, and I'm saying this with a bit of malice, that he actually loves the lower carb option that is Carlton Dry, and he's chosen it by choice. He's asked for it by name, and I think that's enough to treat this man with deep sense of suspicion.
Well, he's got about 6 or 7 holes where his tits used to be, Joel, and maybe there's a bit of deflation going on there.
Small target, thanks to Carlton Dry.
But there appears to be a hell of a lot of evidence that the Sovset cop killer received some assistance from members of the community in and around Victoria's Alpine region.
But who in the community supported a cop killer? Yes. So we've got some tweets here. They are somewhat disturbing. We have Craig here.
You start off with Craig.
All right. So Desi Freeman's final moments and the dramatic police operation that brought him down. There's a link to the video. Everyone knows that these pigs killed him in cold blood. What I want to know is, will all these pigs be charged with murder, or is it okay for them to kill in cold blood? I'm going to answer that for you, Craig. No, they're not going to be charged with murder. He had a gun and they shot him. Thanks for asking.
I mean, even on the Channel 9 News report that he linked to, made it clear that and this was posted on the 31st, I think. So it was a couple of days after. This is Craig's tweet. Was posted a couple of days after Desi Freeman was shot dead. Police negotiated him with him for 3 hours.
Yep.
He refused to come out of the his living quarters, the container, and they pumped some flashbangs in there.
Yeah, they said it was gas. Yeah,
and then he came out wrapped in a doona or blanket, depending on which report you want to listen to, and then produced a gun and fired at the there was a negotiator there.
Yeah,
and fired in his direction.
That
I think
like
there were 2 shots in total fired, and then the response was, it's suicide by police. There's no doubt.
Yeah, 100%.
But anyway, it's they have not committed a murder. Here's one from Bank Chef 24. Most of these guys got very small followings, and some of them have just popped up since the Freeman shooting. State-sanctioned murder by thug police force. Another Ned Kelly in the making. What? At least with Ned Kelly, there was a trial. He's got a little photo of Elbow looking a bit funny in his avatar, so I think we know where his politics are, Mr. Bank Chef 24.
This idiot's name is Ramfish67. That's his handle. Desi Freeman is a national hero, as is Ned Kelly.
Yeah.
Okay. Thanks for your input. 3 responses, 1 like.
Well, look, I question the Kelly stuff. Maybe a little bit of a skepticism about the role of police is a healthy thing.
Sure.
But you don't want to kill a trainload of them, which is essentially what Ned and the gang tried to do. They tried to derail a train going into Glenrowan.
He's not a national hero.
And they were just going to shoot up and ambush the lot of them.
Yeah. I don't like.
There were 250 coppers on board.
Since when was Ned Kelly a fucking hero?
Mate, I'm Irish Australian. I've never felt any sympathy for him.
Weird.
All this sort of Jerilderie letter, sort of florid stuff is all fine. But the simple, if you've ever, and I recommend our listeners do this, go and read just a report on the ambush at Stringy Bark Creek. I think it was Michael Kennedy was the sergeant there. He basically begged for his life. He was unarmed, and Kelly shot him dead.
Yeah.
He was begging for his life.
Yeah. Charming guy.
So we've had sort of, different sort of mythologizing of Kelly, but he was a fucking cold-blooded murderer.
Yeah, and he's a crim. Like, I don't, anyway, dumb.
It's part of that weird Australian thing. I did want to sort of raise the issue about Freeman and how he was going to be buried. or in fact cremated. I think there's a real danger that, and I don't know if this is happening or not, that his body will be returned to his family and then they will bury him, where that will become a shrine for a lot of kooks. I think it's got to be, for Desi, it's got to be unmarked pauper's grave.
Yeah, I kind of agree with that. I'm not sure how you can really enforce that.
I don't know what the protocol is, Joel, under the circumstances, but normally his body would ultimately be returned to his family.
That checks out.
Now, with all these sort of weird tweets mythologising Freeman, most of them had no political affiliation. I mean, we can guess a bit of subsidiary there. But one did, and this is Madeline Love, a woman whose profile indicates she was a former lefty.
Yeah.
But now she's a One Nation supporter, she says. And she writes, or tweets, "I'll remember Desi Freeman as an edgy man who took Daniel Andrews to court and seemed to be intentionally targeted by police to provoke a violent response.
Okay.
Who is culpable for the police deaths? I'm not sure it's Desi Freeman." Now, there was a long exchange there with other people, sensible people, basically saying, well, the shooter would be the one responsible, the culpable person.
There is an issue there. Yep, sure.
But Madeline Love was insisting there needed to be an inquiry about the raid at Popunka and that the 10 police officers there, it would have been much better, she opined, with just 2 officers from the local Wang police station, and they would have gone, and Desi would have known them, and it would have all been okay, except to say one of the police officers that was shot dead was based in Wangaratta and known to Freeman, and he knew Freeman too. So it's all, it's terrible bullshit, and I feel silly about debunking it, but. Yeah, what I'm seeing is a bit of a connection with One Nation and their rise and these clowns. Go on, Joel.
Yeah. So, look, you can see that if you look at a social media or mainstream media who would report on it, it shows that Pauline Hanson's made no comment regarding Desi Freeman's demise at the hands of police.
Not a thing.
And there's also crickets from her mate, Barnaby Joyce, her old mate, former Fon candidate, now with Libertarians, or at least he was at the last time I checked his Twitter account.
That's Craig Kelly.
That's Craig Kelly. And who the fuck is he dealing with? I don't care. But he's got nothing to say, surprisingly, because he's got less to lose than Hanson does, because he's not a serious person. But generally speaking, Libertarians have also just shut up. Like, I haven't seen anything from John Ruddock. Maybe I missed it, but it'll be
a bold move for a parliamentarian to be coming out supporting Freeman.
Yeah, but you can just say nothing.
Yeah, there's a bit of silence there, and it's so obvious to me that Pauline and others in Fon decided to say nothing because they understand that with the growth of their party, at least some of their new constituency, and indeed some of the old, will hold strong sympathies for Freeman.
Absolutely. Don't want to burn those voters.
Too busy wearing a hijab in the Senate. Pauline didn't say a word about Wyambula either, I checked. Nothing to see there or Popunka.
Yeah, which is pretty pissweak. So, look, this has not gone unnoticed with the excellent lads at the Batuta Advocate posting an article with the headline.
It was very funny. One Nation infighting begins as party divided over whether flags should be at half-mast for Desi Freeman.
Which is so sadly true.
So there, other people were thinking about this stuff.
Yeah.
And it needs to be stated. What we're actually asking for is that someone in the media, or indeed someone within Fon, should be asking her to make a statement. It's a bit late now, and it's going to look awful, even if she did say something basically supporting police and all this sort of stuff. But the party, as the Batuta boys have indicated, the party's got quite big now. It estimated about 40,000 members, larger than the Liberal Party, 50,000 Labor Party members.
Yeah, okay.
They charge each member $100. Labor's got all sorts of concessions and things like that, but I think their adult non-concession one is $250. But I think you can get Labor membership for as low as $25 if you're a student, disability, that sort of thing.
Yeah.
But the point is that once you start having a large group of people in your party, a much larger group of people, you will necessarily develop factions.
Yeah.
That's just the way it's going to be. People will assemble within the party who have a shared interest in particular policy areas, right? And and that's what's happening in One Nation right at the moment. And they, like the Libertarians before them and other minor parties, junk thing, the former Senator Rennick was involved in.
Oh,
Jerry
what?
Rennick
People's
was
First? People's,
People
First,
People
yeah,
First.
yeah.
Is that, that they all tried to scoop around the cooker, what we can call the cooker constituency.
Yeah.
And they seem to have no idea. They just think, we got $100 from them. That'll be great. That's all we really need.
Yeah.
But these guys, they're, the people that they've just picked up, they are the sorts of people who cannot be moved around, herding cats.
Herding cats.
Really.
It's always been herding
cats. Because if
cats.
you say something to them, hang on, we do support childhood vaccines, for example, that's fucking the end of it.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's them storming out and all that sort of stuff. So they're keen not to do that. Anyway.
You've got to fall in line with the group thing in a big way.
Yeah. Look, I was genuinely shocked to see the amount of sympathy for Freeman on social media. The usual suspects fell quiet. I did a deep scan of some of Marky Mac's Facebook mates. The ND candidate for Indi and prominent elder abuser, a.k.a. Mark McFarlane, merely reposted a vid from old mate, the snapping turtle, Joe.
The snapper.
The glue snapper.
He's still around,
Playing
not
glue.
dead yet.
Who inferred the police hunting Freeman were corrupt. Of course they were.
Yes,
every police officer in the country is corrupt, according to Wayne.
Well, yes.
Who was a copper himself. Probably corrupt.
Probably corrupt, yes. Allegedly.
He just imagines everyone is. Why wouldn't you be?
Mm-hmm.
Marky Mac's Facebook mates had nothing to say either, but one can only imagine that some of them have heard a knock on the door in the past, including, I'm going to say, Marky Mac.
Yes, indeed.
Do you reckon?
Yeah.
You reckon? I mean, certainly he was a known associate of Freeman's, and I think in the broad investigation over the last, 200-odd days since August 25, there would have been a fair amount of chasing up people who claim to be associates of Desi.
Yeah. It's hard to know. Like, you can see that people who post all the time are either posting all the time about this or they're staying quiet. And when they're staying quiet, you're like, you're not usually quiet. Why are you being quiet?
Yeah.
It's not your usual thing. So, it is a bit sus, but who knows? So, look, there has been a pretty stunning amount of support from Desi from the cooker community who have absolutely glazed over the fact the cops were visiting from the Sexual Offences and Child Abuse Investigation Team, abbreviated as SOCIT, which is kind of funny because SOCIT, haha. Anyway, while the obsession with pedophilia in the cooker movement, of course,
it's called a socket, Joe.
Socket. Socket to him.
But that's the Sexual Offences and Child Abuse Investigation Team. They sit outside normal police stations in Victoria. They were established in the wake of the Royal Commission into Institutional Responses to Child Sexual Offences. So it's actually a really good system.
Oh, they have the worst job in the country as well.
The men and women who work in sockets around Victoria, hats off to them. They do some very hard work.
Yeah, totally agree. Yeah, it is hard work and it's pretty rough. So we've got some pretty cooked people making some pretty cooked claims to stand up for a alleged child sex offender, although he can't sue us. And it's just stunning to see how people like Jackie Dundee and Craig Cole will just immediately start standing up for people who are accused of heinous things and then make up all this shit about people and accuse them of child sex offences.
Understate it somehow no, it was all made up by the evil police and all this sort of stuff.
Just is so ridiculous. And of course, anything that they disagree with is like made up, deep state, conspiracy, blah, blah, blah. So this is one of the things that Jackie Dundee said, which is totally fucked in the head, that Desi had figured out a local police officer's son was into some kind of child sex abuse material. It was zero evidence that I can see. And that's why he got killed. They had to silence him because he had the goods on the cop. So instead of the guy that you're basically deifying here, who is being put up for for charges. No. It's this random story about some cop's son that you've just made up. Okay, great. Well done. Craig Cole, who, as I think you all know, if you know him, is completely obsessed with whatever bizarre concept of child protection he's just made up in his CTE-riddled brain at the time. He's taken upon himself to stick up for Desi online as well. And that kind of comes as a surprise to nobody, but it's just incredible to see how completely confected these people's passionate beliefs are. They live and die by this shit. They hate pedophiles unless they're mates with them, and then it's fine. You can just make excuses for them, cover them up. There's no like, oh, we want to get to the bottom of this. It is, we made up a story and we're sticking to it. So look, I've heard this, and this is absolutely hearsay, that Desi was a bit of a known creep. Now, once again, this is complete hearsay. It is just a Facebook page, but it's essentially saying that he would stare at kids at the pool with goggles on. So I have as much evidence as Jackie does, but I'm happy to admit that, as opposed to her reeling off shit and saying it's objective fact. But this is the screenshot posted on the comments of a news story.
Sicko he was indeed. We felt so uncomfortable around him the numerous times we met. My kids were at school with his. Our most disgusting encounter was at the local pool. He'd wear goggles and stay underwater, perving on all the underage girls. He was finally banned for life. It's checkable, I suppose, from there after so many of us complained. A very unsafe and unstable man he was. Look, there'd be watering holes, there'd be all sorts of things around Bright, plenty of rivers and the Goulburn.
Well, it sounds like this is a swimming pool.
Swimming pool. I'm just trying to think,
like
where would the swimming
one.
pool be? Benalla, that sort of, and there probably is one, but yeah, it's worth checking.
Yeah, look,
but anyway,
I contacted the person who made the post and I got no response, and that's totally fair enough.
Okay, yeah.
So look, I reiterate, we don't have evidence to back this up. It's a Facebook post. It could be anything. It could be absolutely anything. But like I say, at least we're prepared to admit the fact that we're just saying what's being said.
Well, the simple fact of the matter is that the police attended the property on Paul Parker to serve him with a summons to attend court on an historical child sex offence matter.
Yes.
That's it.
Yes.
That's what we know.
Well, no, we know more than that. So
we know a little bit more than that.
We know quite a bit more than that.
I'm not going to really comment too much more on those allegations, those alleged offences or offence, until we have the coronial inquest and we find out just exactly what the nature of that summons was.
Because it's out of the bag. I mean, this is common knowledge. It's been reported by the Daily Mail. Tom Tanuki repeated that recently in Independent Australia.
I've seen a number of, and look, you can emphasise the wrong things and stuff, but I've seen a number of people on social media refer, often apologetically, towards Freeman, that he was just skinny dipping and a girl walked past and it was all a bit uncomfortable and all that sort of stuff. In other words, the police have fitted him up, but that's just, I'm not wearing any of that stuff. I would like to see more on the circumstances there.
Yeah. Well, the story that I've been told is that more, sort of specifically that this was someone's child who was with him and they were going swimming with the kids, basically, and he got naked. And it sounds like that was something that shocked this child, who then went to her parents, and the parents were then reasonably upset by the fact that they went and they allowed this man to, take care of their kids and have them for a day. And he decided that we're going to go swimming. I'm going to get my cock out in front of you. It's very hard to say, oh, that's just a naturist move. At no point have I thought, oh, I'm going to go for a swim with some young children. Better get naked.
For a very good reason, Joel, that it's called indecent exposure.
Yeah. It's just not right. But they're normalizing this in this weird, flippant kind of way. Oh, he was just a naturist. It's just this thing. And I think the Chinese whispers of it has said that there was someone walking past.
I would like to see the and we will.
We will
at some point through the coronial inquest. We will find out the nature of that offence.
But yeah, the whole she was just walking past thing, I believe, is complete bullshit.
I think that'll be bullshit, yeah. But we shall keep you informed. Keep going, Joel.
Yeah. So We had, the usual sort of Twitter nonsense, and it's just so pathetic to see these people where it's like, okay, so this guy who was what the fuck 832, 832 being the whole like the truth will set you free bullshit, summoned Grok, and basically apparently Grok claimed Freeman told his family and friends the historical sexual offences warrant was related to the skinny dipping incident. But then this guy posted this video, which I did not watch. The caption was this.
Desi Freeman was shot this morning for historical sexual offences. I'm not even sure what the fuck that means. I mean, he was shot for historical. No, he was shot because he murdered 2 police officers and severely wounded a third.
Yeah. And you know what historical sexual offences mean? It means sexual offences that happened in the past. Now, that is true.
Yeah, the word children seems to be missing there too.
The children part is missing from that part. So, yeah, you got to really wonder what is going on in this guy's brain, if anything. And it's kind of embarrassing to see that this person like sort of takes him seriously as like a member of the discourse. You know what historical sexual offences are? They include children. They're historical sexual offences that include children. And murdering police officers is a bit of a no-no. Generally speaking. I'm not sure what the fuck that means. I'm not sure what the fuck you mean, my friend. But, carry on. Just keep on doing whatever it is that you do.
Yeah, it seems to be a little bit blinkered there.
Just embarrassing.
Whoever that clown is. But as you say, Joel, the Daily Mail did report this.
They made a video.
Year,
it was weird.
About a month after Desi shot the 2 police officers, wounding the third, and took off.
Yeah. So basically a lot of the whole moaning here is that they shot the man who was never able to see a trial. It's pretty funny though, because he didn't really give the cops a choice in that matter. They were sent there with a warrant for his arrest to, or at least to notify him.
It was either a summons or a warrant for his arrest.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. And it's not immediately clear from the reporting and just exactly why they were poor punker, but obviously.
But it was child sex related.
Risk assessment wise, they've gone, well, we just can't just wander down just the 2 of us. We'll need a significant number of police.
Yeah, because this guy's unhinged and you're about to accuse him of something that's incredibly unpleasant that he's not going to want to have come to light, which he should have realised all his mates were going to deny, and he could just go there and say it was all a stitch-up and everyone would believe him because everyone's a gullible fucking idiot who never wants to admit the fact their friends are pedos. Anyway, so look, the reality is that they're all whinging about the fact that this guy never got to stand trial. That was a choice he made. He was brought to a situation to defend the charges and he chose to shoot his way out of it. And that, to me, is an inference of guilt. I'm sorry if that is not a purely legal standpoint, but I'm going to take an inference of guilt on that. And if he wants to, he can sue me.
I think so.
So, look, that's why they sent the 10 cops. Like you said, they did a risk assessment. They sussed him out. But I don't think they send 10 cops for skinny dipping and having a person walk past and be upset.
Historical?
Yeah.
I mean, we're talking 20 years. Decent exposure is not going to get you there. Our listeners might remember that there was a very credible claim made by the president, I think, and please correct me if I'm wrong, folks, the Anglesey Surf Life Saving Club, where George Pell was in the changing rooms, standing around children.
Yeah,
naked.
okay. Yeah.
And the president of the club, who gave this evidence, sort of walked in and saw this happening and thought, that's a bit odd, walked out, came back 10 minutes later, Pell's still standing there naked talking to other children.
Yeah.
And he said to him, I know what you're fucking up to, mate. Get the fuck out of here. And Pell scuttled off. Now, that offence couldn't be taken historically into a charge that Pell, certainly police didn't consider it, and there may be a statute of limitations on it, but I don't think so. But they might have thought that it was a relatively minor offence and maybe let it go because...
Yeah, no really evidence and blah, blah. Yeah.
But yeah, I've never seen anyone be prosecuted for historical child sex offences that involve only indecent exposure.
Yeah. That's what I'm thinking as well. So it seems like there might be a little bit more to the story. And of course, that is the last thing that cookers want to come to terms with. They just want to make this whole thing into some kind of heterosexual, completely above board, Ned Kelly situation. Great. Yeah. Well, you choose your own adventure, guys, but no one takes you seriously.
Exactly right. And you know what's going to happen, even when these things are properly released, the nature of those charges, we wouldn't expect that to include the identification of the victim. But when they see this, cookers are going to go, oh, yeah, it's all a fit-up.
Yeah.
Anyway, I thought the joke around the office was a ripper last week, and that it was a shame Desi Freeman was killed by police because he could have run as the Fon candidate in the Farah by-election.
That's very good. And, of course, the one doing the rounds is that the cooker finally got his shots, which is
that was
so
I think that
dark.
was the Batuta Boys too. It might have been the shovel.
I'm not sure. I think a few people came up with that one because it is admittedly a little bit obvious, but it's still very funny. It is dark, though. I mean, like a man was killed. But, yeah, he got his shots.
Cows have fucking masks on.
Everybody is up for the high jump if they deserve it. If they deserve to hang, they will hang.
Rise up, Australia. Men of Australia, time to step up and be real men. Protect your kids or go down biggest cowards this country has ever seen. Hang that animals.
And no, cookers have not been idle, despite many of the freedom movement types falling off the vine and getting on with their lives. Thank fuck for that. Or at least spending less of it on social media, pumping their chests and moaning about bullshit. And Monica, of course, she has pivoted. And then pivoted again. And it's starting to get weird.
It's always weird with Monty.
She makes it so entertaining. So she's always been a bit of a Liberal Party stooge. And I won't go into details, but that's where it's always sort of wound up. You know, she's always trying to pivot toward that.
Well, she worked as a staffer for... what's that upper house member?
I can't remember.
Is it? Yeah. Anyway,
there's a history there. But of course, when we saw Old Mate turn up at One Nation HQ in Adelaide to celebrate the election win for Pauline and 4 of her mates in the state election,
clamber onto that bandwagon, Mon.
Yep. Oh man, she was right into it. Now, Monica got an invite, which leads me to ask: who paid for the flights? Who paid for the hotels? What questions? Unanswered questions. I think I commented that on one of her posts, ignored, of course. But it became pretty obvious that someone stumped up the $3.50 asking price for Monica's loyalty, and she's turned her attention to supporting One Nation in the Farah by-election. And look, that $3.50 is only the start. That's the retainer. She put her cap out as usual, and someone even gave her $1,000. Let 1,000 blossoms bloom, Jack. She's back, baby.
Yeah, if she does that 200 times, she might actually be able to pay her legal debts.
Nah, we're not going to do that, are we? So quick as she came, quick as she left, she's gone. Posting this ambiguous tweet ending her time as the fixer in Farah, she said this.
Reignite Democracy is no longer running a volunteer campaign for Farah. What?
Aww.
Something came up. I couldn't manage it anymore. Next Saturday's event has been cancelled. Sorry for any confusion. What do you think that was? A fire, flood? What came up?
Oh, a lot of things have come up.
Next Saturday's event has been cancelled. Sorry for any confusion. We hope David from ON and Rebecca from Family First do well. The bookies are saying the Independent, who seems like a fairly sensible person and has had a crack last year, is the starting favourite in Farah.
Looking very much like that. Now, Monica claims she's refunding donations. On the same tweet, someone called her out for allegedly not refunding his $50 from the Dan Andrews Legal Challenge Fund. That went nowhere. And she offered an email address and a refund, and that was the end of that. But who knows? Maybe he's going to send the email. She's going to send the $50 back. I don't know. Where's the Dan money, Monica? What's going on? But now she's starting a new party, or new parties, but we'll get to that. The Save the Environment Party. Now, it's difficult to understand what this party is about just from the title, but I have some theories. Maybe around saving the environment. So I got to say, this might sound ridiculous, but Monica actually has form in this field. She started off in the political sphere trying to protect the Brumbies from being culled by the evil government. That's definitely a thing.
These Brumbies, that most of whom, everyone thinks they're all fucking been around since Banjo Patterson.
And they're majestic and they're lovely and they're wonderful and innocent.
Most of them are clapped out racehorses that get dumped there.
Yeah.
And what they do, Joel, these feral animals, and
with their clappy clappers,
is destroy a lot of native vegetation and small animals.
Yep, they are absolute menaces.
How do you get to be leading an environment party when you've got those credentials? Certainly questions need to be asked about this, Joe.
Oh, well, I mean, the saving the Brumbies is back on the menu, so don't worry about that. But it does need to be said that, unfortunately, culling, much more politically correct term, Brumbies, is a part of protecting the environment as much as it is deeply unpleasant. And this isn't really about saving the environment. It's about doing things that make Monica feel good. And, of course, things get donations through the door. I mean, animal lovers love putting their hand in their pocket. So She's even got Avi on board, and she did this weird little puff piece interview with him to promote her 752nd project since the pandemic, which, with her attention span, should last at least 3 months.
Oh, I see. This could go all the way to November before she gets sick of it.
It could. It might. It may. She almost got to Farah before she got bored of that. Almost. So now
she did get bored, but look, let's face it, Farah's by-election is a bit boring. And good luck to the Indy.
Something came up, Joe.
Something came up.
Yeah, the Save the Environment Party. So now a cynic would say that she's trying to harvest low information voters who will see the Save the Environment Party and vote for it because they think they might actually save the environment.
Well, I got David Lionhelm into the Parliament, Joel, into the Senate,
Liberal Democrats. I like the Liberals, but I love democracy.
He was voted in by Liberals who can't read.
Of which apparently there are many. So, look, they have a list of policies. These are going to blow your mind. I find them very funny. She supports backburning.
Yeah, let's get that done.
I mean, let's
start a fire right now.
Already happens. But hey, look, good that she's thinking about these things.
Yeah.
But it's not just backburning. We actually have a four-legged flamethrower perfectly within our sights. It's called livestock.
Yeah.
Yeah, edible lawnmowers. They're fucking edible lawnmowers. They can control fire risk. You can eat them.
Doesn't everyone support? Well, almost everyone supports backburning. I mean, and this stuff needs to be done. I mean, it's how our Indigenous brothers and sisters used to basically nurture the land. You got to set fire to whatever now and then.
Yes, but they didn't have targeted grazing. So policy number 2.
This is great stuff.
After backburning is targeted grazing for bushfire prevention.
Grazing. See you cows. Can you just go into a national park, please, and start chewing?
Cows are close.
Just chew, damn it.
But look, as usual, this is nothing new. She just supports it, which is great. But it's already a thing, obviously, and she never really proposes anything new because she has no original thoughts in her brain. But the Victorian government, in conjunction with the University of Melbourne, are looking north for inspiration to the New South Wales Goat Brigade. Yep, that's right. The RFS have a brigade.
There's a bloke in up north, and he's got this sort of small army of about 20 or 30 goats. And if you've got a backyard that is not easy to mow or whatever it is, the goats will arrive within a day.
Well, look, this is now being used for fire prevention. And while Monica has absolutely nothing to do with any of this, obviously, I do appreciate her for bringing this to my attention because it's really funny. The Goat Brigade itself is hilarious and has actually been in a trial period since 2021. They're trying to make sure that basically the goats eat everything and don't just leave behind noxious weeds that then take over the whole ecosystem.
They love a good noxious weed, the goats. God love them.
Well, we do hope so. So basically, they set up a perimeter with fencing, electric fencing to be fair, and they just let the goats have at it. And
this is what this bloke with his small army of goats on the Central Coast does.
Yeah, it's actually making a lot of weird sense. Now, the big question is, are these firefighting goats eaten? And yes, they are. These are delicious lawnmowers that stop fire spread. Where is this going wrong? I can't see any problem. Now, sadly, you may not enjoy any firefighting goat because most of the meat is exported, and I imagine it's probably quite shit. But I've got to say, I love this thing. This thing, of course, that Monica has nothing to do with. But yeah, the Brumbies are back. She's opposed to culling. Back. She wants to relocate them to sex them and manage population. What does that even mean? That's for Brumbies, though. So Brumbies are cute, right? Brumbies are majestic and lovely. That's cool. You know what? Wild boars? Fuck wild boars. Kill every single last one. Policy number 3.
Yeah? Kill every pig.
Kill the pigs.
We'll kill every feral pig.
Yeah, just shoot them. Just shoot them dead. She's also, and this is hilarious, supporting renewable projects. As long as they're not foreign owned. So she's drawing the line there. Very weird caveat, but it's better than the usual cooker bullshit about renewables being some sort of elaborate scam. She likes a solar panel as long as it's not got those weird Chinese people around it.
She's playing to the centre, Joe. I love it.
Well, she's pivoting, that's for sure. It's a weird pivot too. And I expect some of these, like some of these policies, the Brumby bullshit, that all makes sense. Renewables, oh man, like she must have just had to put that through ChatGPT with a gritted teeth. And you can see
any word on women's reproductive rights, Joel?
No, we're not quite getting there with the environment. But if you want to see a really weird pivot, and this one is cooked, and this is from a friend of the podcast, Dallas. She's registered freepalestinepartyvictoria.com.
Who has?
Monica Smith.
Monica has registered that.
Yes, Monica has registered that.
What's the cost to register a party?
Party name. We don't know how far she's gone with this.
Yeah, because it gets a bit exy once you sign up. Was it 1,000 members? And they've
who's
got to
paying
have
for it?
Correct addresses, phones, and what the AEC will do is grab a slab of them and check them up. Check them out.
Look,
But-
she'll be down there at the local bloody Pakenham Coles with a keffiyeh on, just getting signatures, mate. Piece of piss, free Palestine. Don't worry about it.
15, and I think it's about 1,500 registration fee, but I may be wrong.
There's money involved, and I'm sure it's coming from somewhere.
They don't come cheap. I think Indy's about 500 from memory,
and the party's more,
and it might be $1,000, and I think the parties are 1,500. But yeah, it's in that ballpark anyway.
Now, a cynic would say that she's trying to harvest votes from low information voters based on a single policy party name.
No.
That's just a Trojan horse or something else that completely contrary to the voters' actual interest. But maybe there are Brumbies in Gaza. And Monica is desperately worried about the Brumbies in Gaza. This is possible. This is possible. So,
I think if there are any Brumbies in Gaza, Charles, they'll be well and truly eaten by now.
well, that's what her concern is. So, look, I thought I was pretty clever figuring this out, but apparently The Age has already published a story
done
about it.
Got ahead of you.
So, here's one from The Age by Rachel Eddy.
Didn't see this. An anti-lockdown campaigner has launched a supposedly environmental party in an apparent attempt to game Victoria's upper house voting system by harvesting preferences for Conservatives like One Nation. And, quotes her, because as usual, Monica says the quiet part out loud, one of the tactics used in preference whispering is creating minor parties with catchy names so that uneducated voters see a name they like and put a one next to it. And they have no idea that it's actually just harvesting votes for someone else. You're giving it away. You say this after the November election.
Don't say it. Don't
say
say it.
We have finally decided to be strategic, if you get what I mean. Ooh, nudge, nudge, wink, wink.
Wink, wink. Yeah. Yeah. Don't say it. Shut up.
When contacted by The Age, Smith insisted it was not a front. It's a real party with real policies. Look at the Brumbies and stuff and goats. We got goats.
Yeah, we got goats, mate. We got goats. Don't worry about it.
Also from The Age, in a video on Friday, Smith said the party's name would attract voters from people that normally wouldn't support parties she hoped to cut preference deals with. She really hasn't given this a lot of thought. That's just a system that's available to us. It's about time we use the system, if you know what I mean. She's doing a fair bit of this nudge, wink, wink stuff. You know what I mean?
Oi. How's your fella?
Turn it to Eric Idle. Say no more. Say no more.
Say no more. Say no more. Fuck, man. She's so funny.
She claimed to know of other parties being established with really great names. Jesus Christ, she's got a vocabulary of about 60 words. I mean, she's I've known Labradors with better language skills.
I gave her.
She claimed to know other parties. It's going to be an interesting election, she said. Winking. She's actually doing it now. She's actually, does she drive the elbow into your guts when she winks?
If you know what I mean. If you know what I mean. So, of course, this is hilarious considering the fact that these are the same people who spent 2020 moaning about election fraud that didn't exist.
Yeah.
So,
there is that.
But, you know this as well as anyone, but there's this cooked system in Victoria that basically has voting tickets for the upper house. Yeah. You can vote above the line for a party and the party chooses where the preferences go.
And we know it's a problem. You've got to have compulsory preferences.
But you've also got to be able to choose your own preferences below the line, but also make sure that if you do go above the line, you know exactly where your preferences are going and that they exhaust at a certain point.
What is it? What did we do in the Senate last year? The first 10? Had to number the first 10 or 12 or something?
Yeah, they changed the system and they made it so you couldn't just vote one thing and have it all go from the
Australian Sports Party. And, of course, Ricky Mule. We apologise to Ricky.
We
like Ricky.
The Motoring Enthusiast Party.
But there were a lot of shit... a lot of shit political parties in the running there. And it would have been worse if they didn't lose all those ballots in Western Australia. God, can you imagine if that happened now?
God. So, look, her dastardly plan mostly revolves around people being as stupid as she is. And I think she may be overplaying her hand on that one. I think she thinks this is going to work. You can tell because, you know what I mean. But if it does, look, I would imagine that maybe some Gina money is flowing her way if she can get some of this stuff off the ground.
All I'd say, I mean, and this is obviously premature. Her appeal to the Supreme Court, Victorian Supreme Court, if that's dismissed, she will be bankrupt. And
Yeah, she will
if
be.
that
yeah.
happens before November, then she can't be a party official. She cannot run on a ballot paper, those sorts of things.
No.
So that'll be interesting.
I doubt she'd get made a bankrupt before November, though. It's a slow process.
No, it's going to, she'll probably squeeze it all in, but she'll have some bloody big creditors banging on her door, banging on the van door, and saying, give us your money.
I'm sure
Shut the fuck up about the Environment Party. Nudge, nudge, wink, wink.
If you want some money, go cull some Brumbies. This is the head. This is how much
Shoot
you
them in
get.
the head.
Yeah.
2 in the brain.
Yeah. So, look, a quick hilarious mention for the fine folks at MFA. Generally speaking, it's just Beck Freeman, Jesse Stewart, and a bunch of orphaned Nazis. But it turns out the Nepo Nazi, named either Ozpil or Cleasom or Hugo, depending on whether you're in a fursuit at the time or not, has hijacked the MFA group and ruined it somehow, which is pretty funny. I don't really feel myself in too much in this. There's a whole bunch of detail and a whole bunch of hilarity. But it seems like MFA are going to rebrand because they can't get their Facebook pages back because Hugo has gone rogue with the passwords. There's some pretty funny posts on the ship Hastings page
He's
about
taking
this.
the keys to the Facebook.
He's taken the keys and he's run with them. I don't know if it's because there's not enough Nazis or too many Nazis. I don't know.
They
he
do
spent
have
a lot
a
of
bit
money
of a
on Helly
history
Hansen.
of splintering and falling into angry brawls, Joel.
Yeah, I mean, who would have thought babbling racist bullshit in a park could be so partisan and dramatic? Wow. Who would have thought? But yeah, look, it looks like the MFA is living on borrowed time, and I don't think we've lost anything of value.
The Iran war. How did we get to where we are today? Trump losing the few marbles he has left that aren't covered in shit over an unpopular war. No exit strategy, no refugee strategy, and despite the exhortation to the Iranian people to rise up, no regime change strategy. How did it get to this? Well, unofficially, it appears the blame for starting the war is falling at the feet of the president's son-in-law, Jared Kushner.
Interesting. So, on February 27, the Iranians and the US were in talks. We are told the Iranians made an offer to hand over the 400-odd kilos it has of enriched uranium, up to 60%, that is, that could conceivably be used as a nuclear weapon or with a little bit of work. And the UK diplomatic officials described the offer as credible. It's good. It's pretty good.
On that Friday night, Kushner was briefed by Israeli Prez Benjamin Netanyahu. He then spoke to Trump, saying that the Iranians, that's Kushner, spoke to his pa-in-law, saying that the Iranians were not serious about avoiding a conflict. Further, he told Trump that the Iranians plan to attack US forces gathering in the ME. A day later, in fact, not long after midnight, the US and Israeli attack started.
Yeah, why not? So Trump now claims regime change was not an objective, while in the same breath declaring that regime change had occurred, with Khamenei being killed by Israeli strikes and replaced by his wounded son, Mojtaba Khamenei.
Who's supposed to be unconscious now. We've got a recent update on Mojtaba.
Very wounded.
He's not well.
Yeah, he's had a bad time.
And it tells us that basically the Revolutionary Guard's still in power there, but go on.
Of course. So he's claiming he's much less radical. I've heard different accounts on that. Yeah. Apparently, he doesn't hold the same beliefs about the whole fatwa on nuclear weapons that his dad had.
I hope he doesn't carry a grudge, Joe.
Yeah, because they kind of killed everyone he knows and loves. But anyway, so look, this, according to the Orange One, is regime change. I'm not sure how that really works. It's even if it was true, the Iranian regime, which is a dreadfully oppressive Shiite theocracy, a bunch of cunts, has not budged an inch and would seem even more crazy considering all their friends are now dead at the pointing out of government, which was sort of the case prior to February 28, just minus the
probably
death
more
grudge.
Dangerous now than they were before.
Yeah, they're not
It was
good.
clear to anyone with even a passing knowledge of Middle Eastern geopolitics that the only way forward was a negotiated settlement. But the US acted unilaterally. Well,
yes, they did.
Well, what do we call that?
Israel.
Bilaterally with the Israelis. Besides Israel, US allies
separate the
were
two.
not informed of the strikes on Iran and almost would have counselled against it. The Europeans are saying no.
No,
we're saying
bad idea.
no.
Don't
Everyone's
do it.
saying no.
Bad. Yeah. So those allies would have mentioned, funnily enough, the Strait of Hormuz and how Iran could shut down shipping through the strait, which separates exclave of Oman.
It's an exclave. You remember I was trying to think of that word? Because there's a conclave, there's all that sort of stuff. But an exclave is a separated piece of land from the rest of the nation.
It used to be a clave and now it doesn't.
It's an exclave. And so that's what it's called. There's a territory there that belongs to Oman that is not directly attached to the Omani nation.
And at its narrowest point, it's merely 40 kilometers apart, which makes it very manageable when it comes to mining and bombing and missiling and general arseholery and piracy. So, yeah.
Yeah, and you got to go because it's pretty shallow water too, so you can't just scream through there at 50 knots, you know.
No.
You got to go slow. As many have mused, the Trumpster wouldn't be able to locate the Strait of Hormuz on a map and would definitely be incapable of spelling it. I reckon he'd throw in the GH, wouldn't you? And the straight, S-T-R-A-I-G-H-T. You reckon he'd make that rookie error, Joe? I think so. Imagine if it was called an isthmus. Imagine the spelling problem there. I mean, isthmus is a word I'm absolutely sure was created to humiliate people with speech impediments. Anyway,
yes, they're trying to fuck Biden.
Yeah. Look, you know, if Trumpster had to spell isthmus, he'd go through 12 Sharpies, you know, just getting it right.
He would. That'd cost $60 to the US government, apparently.
I love how the boss of the Sharpie company said, we haven't had any. No.
Didn't have that chat.
Didn't happen.
No.
Didn't happen, Donnie.
No.
Put your head in.
Imagine rejecting presidential endorsement of your company. Like under Barack Obama, if Barack Obama was like, I love Sharpies, they're the greatest marker ever, they'd be like, oh my God, we're going to release a fucking Obama range? Oh my God, this is the greatest day. They're like, oh, Trump, no, maybe not. You're kind of shit. Yeah.
How does this end? Well, maybe in weeks, maybe not. The Americans will stop, but maybe in weeks, Americans will stop their bombing runs and leave, but who knows? And anyway, where will that leave the rest of us? Probably with the Iranians charging around $2 million US for safe passageway through the strait.
Yes, but not in US dollars.
Oil prices, it'll be in yuan.
They will.
When we want yuan, please. And just charging exorbitant rates and threatening to blow up boats who don't play it. I did notice that the Iranians have given the green light to the EU to get through there.
Yeah.
But this and obviously it's come down to tanker owners because they've got, $1 billion worth of rolling stock on the water.
Yep.
They're not going to be inclined to move through the strait, but they have to. If they do move through the strait, they will have to negotiate and be approved, rather like a passport crossing or a border crossing with a passport
with a toll gate
with the Iranians. And it does sound a bit messy and probably will involve a fair amount of backsheesh, I would imagine.
Straight over.
And none of this is going to solve the oil supply problems that we have. And when the Americans leave, in weeks, if not months, possibly years, the MA will almost certainly be a more dangerous place than it was 2 months ago.
And Iran will have sanctions lifted. It'll be making money off tolls, bringing boats through. The amount of things they're going to negotiate out of this if the US exits is incredible. I mean, people are they're going to be better off than they fucking were before. It's insane.
This is the truth of asymmetrical warfare, Joe.
Isn't it just bizarre?
Where the bigger, badder, more expensive military is not guaranteed to win.
And look, we've had casualties in the US as well. We've had Kristi Noem and Pam Bondi.
Yes, we have,
Of course, the Homeland Security head and the Attorney General, respectively.
Did you call her Pam Bondi?
No, Bondi.
Bondi, no, thank you. Thank
Yeah,
you.
yeah.
It's just when you see that word, it's the first thing you think of.
It's the first thing I think of. It's completely reasonable. So let's start with Bondi. Pam spent her last day as head of the Department of Justice begging Trump to keep the job, and he was not listening and not interested at all.
Why did Pam Bondi get boned, as Eddie Maguire might say? We can tell you that it wasn't for weaponising the Department of Justice to prosecute Trump's perceived enemies. She launched a prosecution of former FBI Director James Comey and New York State Attorney General Letitia James. Both cases have been dismissed after the courts found that Trump appointed DA for the East District of Virginia, Lindsay Halligan, who had no experience as a prosecutor, but was one of Trump's personal attorneys, was unlawfully serving in her role. Now, this was on Trump, but Bondi, but Bondi has faced the consequences.
Yes, her greatest mistake was to do the impossible, inadvertently creating an even larger storm around the Epstein files. Amazing. Just so badly handled. In February 2025, Bondi released a limited version of the Epstein files in white binders. They were folders, but they were binders to right-wing kooks like Jack Posobiec and those sort of
And they were so pleased when they got them.
So happy with themselves. Look at us. We've got these things that are already on public record that were printed out by our fucking intern. And they quickly discovered that, the release contained material already released by the Biden administration with entries that were redacted that weren't even redacted before.
In the first place, yeah.
Embarrassing. So, and since then, there have been further releases from our office with photos and other identifying information unredacted, while alleged offenders, the people raping the children, were redacted. So we know who the victims are. We just don't know who victimized them. Great. So Bondi unsuccessfully tried to close the scandal down by saying the Justice Department has concluded there will be no investigations into the activities of child rapists, all while other nations, including Norway and the UK, have either begun prosecutions where individuals, including Andrew Windsor Mountbatten, are under active investigation.
Well, the Prime Minister, a former Prime Minister of Norway, is facing criminal charges in relation to Epstein,
Because they hold people to account in other countries that aren't the US. They don't give them a fucking merit badge for being fucking kitty fiddlers.
Yeah, what the Justice Department says, nothing really here. They've got allegations of cannibalism.
Really?
There is some. There was one that was debunked by Snopes.
Okay.
Recently, that Leonardo DiCaprio was chowing down on a baby or something like this, but it was all bullshit. But there are, I don't know about credible, but I'll say allegations of cannibalism and sex trafficking and some of the worst possible behaviour.
It's not good.
The Justice Department says, it's all done now. There's nothing we can do now. You can't unscramble that omelette.
Yeah.
Through all this, Bondi has created a sense that the Epstein files will be drip-fed to the American public, heightening, not diminishing interest. And what Trump wanted locked down has become even more explosive. It takes a special type of criminal idiot to turn a scandal into a fully blown existential crisis for the Trump administration. And when quizzed at the Judicial Committee hearing, Bondi was evasive and abusive. But there was one moment when she was reminded that when Nixon was president, his Attorney General, John Mitchell, was jailed while Nixon wandered off with a presidential pardon, courtesy of Gerald Ford. And there was just this slight tell, just this little rictus briefly swept over her face. And when Bondi heard this, and it revealed that sort of sinking feeling that she, not Trump, would be jailed for crimes committed in his name. She's 60 years of age. I don't think she'd go all that well in the slammer.
No, I don't think she's really used to these sort of things. So she has lied to Congress, which is a good start, as has FBI Director Kash Patel, which I don't think anyone really cares about that. This is regarding the Epstein files that he seemed very passionate about releasing until it became personally involved in it.
They're not so enthusiastic.
No, nothing to say here, guys. Just move on. I just want to have some beers with hockey players, and that is a crime. So the Trump reign is coming to an end, and consequences are coming. That's what seems to be writing on the wall. 25th Amendment, I think, will get pulled, but that's my. But
something to watch for listeners is Bondi has been subpoenaed to testify before it's the Oversight Committee on April 14, 2026. Only 7 more sleeps, listeners. Regarding her handling of the Jeffrey Epstein investigation, will she defy the subpoena and not show up? She could do as what's his name? He just got off the hook today with the Supreme Court. They've basically handed it to a lesser court to determine to basically throw his conviction away. What's his name? Skin guy. Bad skin guy.
Oh, what? Steve Bannon?
Yeah, Bannon, yeah.
Interesting.
Well, he was jailed for defying a subpoena.
Oh, that's right. He was too.
And it looks like he's kind of off the hook, or his conviction will be rinsed. But I don't know that she'll defy the subpoena and not show up. And it seems unlikely, but she might. And what she will be doing, rather than take up the corporate role Trump said, which doesn't, I don't think that exists.
Yeah.
Is spending a good deal of her time. What she will be doing is spending a good deal of her time avoiding prison.
Yeah.
She might try and bury Trump in her evidence, but an idiot like Bondi will stick to Trump no matter how bad the situation is.
That's how she got the job.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, the two women sacked from the Trump executive. Well, we might just pause and reflect as to how and why two women are in the gun, while shit men like Pete Hegseth and Bobby Kennedy Jr., who are doing a terrible job making a complete fuck of it,
they're going
seem to be keeping their jobs despite abundant evidence of failure and ineptitude in absolute droves.
We might also ponder why the only person in jail in the United States over the Epstein files is a woman. I'm not suggesting she didn't offend, but she's the only one. The only one. You know, Jeffrey's dead, so he would have been doing a bit of hard time by now. But, a bit strange, isn't it? Anyway, let's move on to the other woman, Kristi Noem, sacked and given a job that doesn't exist. They said, oh, no, you can work for the government in this.
It was a Shield of America or some shit. It's just like completely made up thing.
They're keeping it close, but they got no real job. She became a liability as ICE raids, as we all know, conducted by scumbag rent-a-cops, led to the killing of 2 US citizens shot dead, traduced as terrorists post-mortem by Noem and others in Trump's orbit without evidence. JD Vance, hello.
Yeah, Mr. President, you're still a cunt. So right now, Kristi can't even do her imaginary job because she's hunkered down in South Dakota after calling for privacy and prayers, as the Daily Mail ran with a story that her husband, Brian, was a crossdresser who spent more than $25,000 with a trove of hundreds of messages exchanged between Brian Noem and 3 women in the bimbofication and adult modeling space, including photos of Brian sporting 2 large balloons for breasts and some racy sports gear.
He doesn't drink enough beer, Joel. I think we've established that.
We have established that.
It's going to go the large balloon breasts.
Well, that's sad. That's very sad.
Joel, you're a man of the world, as am I. Have you come across this particular fetish called bimbofication? What bothers me most about it should be bimboification because that's the proper suffix. But anyway, it's called bimbofication.
I only know, like, as far as like people seeking out bimbo-looking women, which is like, you know, the sort of like extreme cosmetic thing and stuff like that. Fair enough. Not so much for guys.
It's supposed to be, reading about it today, it's supposed to be essentially, I guess it's a sort of a way of presenting a woman.
Yeah.
You know, rather than a man cross-dressing. I think he may have misunderstood the mission, Brian. But I guess the models didn't care because he's flinging thousands a day at him.
Yeah, it's something like $25 a message or something. It's just something batshit insane. God, I'm in the wrong industry. But like, we don't want to kink shame here. You know, that's not our job. That's not our job.
Good on you, Brian. I hope you feel
through
good
the night
when you put your breasts on and those little tiny weeny pants
and the exaggerated makeup
shorts.
and all that.
Good on you. I hope you felt good.
Yeah, that's fine. And this whole
Jesus Christ, life can't be that bloody fun.
No.
Look at you, you're married, you idiot.
Well, yeah, but the marriage isn't doing well. Look, this whole MAGA manly thing, it's completely ridiculous. Most of them are clearly gay. And, like, there's this whole thing of women staying at home being birthed robots. Oh, fuck it, absolutely. Just, like, pumping out children aimlessly just to pursue some sort of weird idea of national pride. It's all, you know, one for the country. Okay, great. Can you just have one for the country, not 7?
Have 12, look,
It definitely lines up with this idea of these MAGA women having as much plastic surgery as possible, mostly probably stopped by doctors saying, we can't do any more, I'm sorry. But he just wants to be one of the girls with the Mar-a-Lago makeover. Maybe Trump will notice him. And you know, maybe he'll get a spot in the cabinet too. It'd be great. It'll work out really well.
He's done nothing wrong. And privacy and prayers, even if we were to genuflect, pop on the knees for Kristi, what would we be praying for? You know, beyond privacy. I mean, I think what she wants us to pray for is death to her big-titted husband.
Probably.
You know, he trips over his oversized boobies and dies or something like that. That the good Lord might smite him for being a bit, how's your father?
Yeah, well, if you're lucky. But I don't see that happening. The New York Times did run an opinion piece from a woman who says that when she saw the pics of Brian and his enormous breasts, she came to the conclusion that Brian wasn't sick or twisted. Poor Brian was just lonely.
He's just lonely.
Just lonely. He just misses his wife. His wife who looks eerily similar to the caricature he's playing in those photos.
Yes, no, look, we're not king shaming, but
no.
Kristi Noem and her top advisor and possible romantic partner, Corey Lewandowski, are under investigation by the DHS, that's the Department of Home Security, Inspector General, and congressional Democrats regarding a $220 million to $250 million advertising, US dollars, obviously.
Mm-hmm.
And guess who runs the advertising campaign, the advertising company that took on that multi-million-dollar campaign?
Mm-hmm.
That's right. It's Big Booby Brian Noem.
Oy.
Now, sometimes I think we're reporting not from the US, but from Equatorial Guinea, such as the scale of corruption and government waste in the US under Trump.
The Republic's
220 million. There was a wonderful little graphic that popped up on my social media that actually showed the production costs around some of the biggest movies of all time.
Yeah.
So you can get photos of Kristi Noem sitting on a horse or whatever the fuck, or you could make Titanic.
Yeah.
In fact, you'll have some change from the 220 million if you decide to make Titanic.
Brilliant.
Anyway, Noem, who stood out in Trump's executive because she didn't have money.
Yes.
See, she hasn't got vast wealth.
She's one of the poor.
She has money, just not billions, like her former colleagues
got
do.
plenty of money.
Has now rightly become a fucking laughingstock.
Yes.
And she's just so deserved. She's one of the most despised people in the United States.
She's the worst.
And her husband has received hundreds of millions of taxpayer dollars and has invested, obviously, on huge balloon titties and spandex shorts.
And I think that's a good use of the money.
We are through the looking glass, folks, and the US under Trump has gone beyond satire. Parodies are no longer as funny as reality.
Truth.
In this new segment we have, we'll explain just how bad it has become. Looking forward to this.
Is it Bat Boy? Or is it Trump? Is it moving markets? Or is it bunk? Is it Bigfoot? Or is it dementia? The fact that we can tell is what laments ya.
Now, listeners, back in the 1990s when I was working at Lads Mags, the Weekly World News was required reading. The Florida-based satirical newspaper featured some of the best mag writers in the country trying to outdo each other for silly and very funny stories, all completely made up and published under the WWN banner, the world's only reliable news.
Yes.
Readers may remember the Bat Boy covers. You remember the Bat Boy covers, Joe?
I do.
Actually, that became a musical. Bat Boy became a musical. In June, off-Broadway musical. In June 1992, Weekly World News ran with the screaming cover lines, Bat Boy found in cave. And there was this sort of image of this kind of weird-looking kid/vampire.
Yes, fucking weird.
And three mates, not content with that. 3 months later, they ran with a cover, Bat Boy escapes. Sub-headline, coast-to-coast manhunt for cave boy captured just weeks ago. Bottom strap, he's 2 feet tall and very dangerous, all in caps, warned police. Weekly World News was more than screeching covers. One article inside ran with the headline, Women are sexier than apes and scientists know why.
Oof, they've made a breakthrough.
It's just, but what I loved about it was because they were so magazine-y, the guys, right? Because they actually knew all the tricks and all this sort of stuff. One that really caught my eye was startling discovery, ! Rome was built in a day.
Yes.
So I kind of love Satan Escapes Hell. That was a cover. Satan Escapes Hell, three exclamation marks. And the copy included, in the article, included an interview with the devil. The commentary page was led by Ed Anger, whose shrill right-wing rants became the precursor for actual idiots like Candace Owens. Ed would rail against the government and the liberal agenda, finishing his column to load his shotgun. It was satire then. It's real now.
It is real now. Yes, it is.
So Weekly World News was proof that right or left politically, if you're funny, it doesn't matter. Some of the writers went on to edit big-name mags, Esquire, Vanity Fair, etc.
Yeah,
but it was all bullshit, completely fictitious, and hats off to the writers, brilliant satirists, one and all. The question that we are dealing with today, Joel, is Trump's America beyond satire? And so we're about to find out. Your challenge, Joel, if you decide to accept it, is this. I will read a headline, and you will have to tell me if you think it's from the lurid, weird, funny, and profoundly fake headlines of the Weekly World News, or is happening right now in reality in Trump's America.
All right.
Are you ready?
I'm ready.
Okay. First headline. Charity raffle draw erupts into violent brawl.
Oh, no. This is ambiguous.
Charity raffle draw erupts into violent brawl.
Trump's America.
No, tricked you a little bit there.
Yeah,
it was one of Weekly World News's less scandalous covers, but it was a very funny story put together by the scribbler there. So, but I sympathise with you, Joel, because you can see this happening in Trump's America. It may not have happened just yet, but it's probably going to at some point.
Well, let's see how we go next.
Question 2. 27 US senators are extraterrestrials! !
I'm going to go Weekly World News.
Yes, well done. Yes, you're getting it right there.
Too many senators.
Of course, we know of the 100 senators, more than 50 are extraterrestrials.
No, I was going to more like a handful. I think the extraterrestrials may or may not be more intelligent than US senators.
Yeah, there is that. I mean,
there is that.
If that is the case, 27 or 50, you'd have to argue, what are these? These ETs that are coming to Earth, they are fucking dumb
idiots.
as dog shit.
Yeah, no, it's no good. It's no good at all.
All righty. Now, this is the final one. Official claims he sometimes spontaneously teleports, including once directly to a Waffle House 50 miles away.
Ooh, now, I would love for this to be fake, but I know for a fact that this is Trump's America. Fucking, this is so dumb.
This is the brilliant story, and I know many of our listeners might have heard a little bit about it. This is Greg Phillips with 3 Gs. He's a former top health official in Texas. Now, this comes from, I think, the pages of Futurism. In December, Greg Phillips, a former top health official in Texas, was appointed to head FEMA's Office of Response and Recovery, FEMA being the
Federal Emergency Management Agency.
Federal office. The office, he's responsible for more than 1,000 employees, this guy.
Jesus.
And a budget of nearly $300 million.
Oh, my God. This is a wreck.
He's central to FEMA's job of responding to disasters like hurricanes, earthquakes, and fires. Mr. Phillips was known at the time as a proponent of election fraud conspiracy theories, some of which were amplified by Mr. Trump.
That's how he got the job.
Phillips, he has no fucking experience in disaster management or anything like that.
Yeah.
He also claims that he teleports around the place, and this comes from Futurism. So, Joel, please read on.
The bizarre news was first reported by CNN, which noted that Phillips, a far-right conspiracy theorist with little experience in disaster management prior to his appointment as head of FEMA's Office of Response and Recovery in December of 2025, has a record of making ludicrous claims involving involuntary teleportation. Isn't that the fucking kicker? In a prior January 2025 interview, Phillips said he had teleported before and that it isn't a great experience.
Teleporting apparently is hard, and Phillips does not recommend it.
Yeah, here's a quote. I tell you, teleporting is no fun. It was scary in a way, he told Catherine Engelbrecht, host of the 2020 election denial podcast Onward. God, that sounds like a must listen. I mean, you don't really know, okay? Is this evil? Is this good? What is this? What do I do with this? Maybe see a fucking psychiatrist, Greg, because you need meds. Your brain is fucked. I don't want to make light of mental illness, but this boy is not having a good fucking year. Quote, I was on the phone. Oh my God, what's happening? And then I landed about 40 miles away in a ditch outside of a Baptist church in a tiny little town. Phillips explained. It was an incredibly frightening moment to experience yourself in your car flying through the air. Why are you in your car?
He's in the car.
You're driving.
See, he gets teleported in the car.
Who gets teleported in the fuck?
I know.
Yeah.
God, just a good thing there was no fly. There's no flies in that car because we know what happens.
We know what happens. You get Goldblumed. It's no good.
Go on. Yeah, sorry, Joe.
This is the worst byline in history because I hate this so much because this makes this seem a lot more serious. Phillips' teleporting claims have been examined by the New York Times.
Which is
Just
bizarre in
that
itself. I
sentence,
mean, it's a
it just
serious
hurts me.
newspaper, and we got to go check out this bloke's teleportation claims.
Yeah, the NYT is now the Weekly World News. It's just this is fucking reality. So Shastoni Burge has worked for a decade as a Waffle House server in Rome, Georgia. Much of it on the night shift, where she fights people. Oh shit, this is the next line. She said she was once punched in the face by a customer. Yep, that's a Waffle House. She saw someone overdose in the bathroom. Yep, that's a Waffle House. And one night, a man took all the steak knives and threatened the staff with them. Not just happy to steal them. He's got to be an asshole.
But Shastoni Bird says she has never seen anyone teleport to the Waffle House in Rome, Georgia. I've seen it all, said Miss Burge, 38, but I've never seen that.
Oh, that is good. I can't believe
Miss
we have to
Burge
take this seriously.
said, has she ever laid eyes on Greg with 3Gs, Phillips, teleporting into the Waffle House? Now we have, I think we have proven, Joel, we have proven it beyond a reasonable doubt that Trump's America is now officially beyond satire. We've got the New York Times having to check out teleportation claims, mate.
Yeah, it is really getting silly.
I'm a staunch patriot. I love our country. I love our freedoms. I love that in Australia you can be anything that you want to be. There is nothing and no one stopping you from achieving your hopes, your aspirations, and your dreams.
Yes, I know. It's been a while since we stuck the boot into Paleo Pete, but the thing is, he's not posting. I mean, things are looking good. Elon Musk bought Twitter, which meant that Nazis were allowed to flourish on the platform. Now, I'm not suggesting in the same breath that Pete is a Nazi, but he did find himself back on Twitter around that time, and therefore back on the radar, on the rebuild. This is good. This is good to see. But for some reason, people don't seem to really give a shit anymore. Grass-fed salmon's just not that interesting. Cookers have a fairly short memory when it comes to sort of stuff. And this is the saddest thing, because the man, he blew it all up. The fame, the money, the adoration, just to post a few dodgy memes that his new mates sent him on Telegram. And now he's no longer relevant. What a shame. What a shame. Oh, well. But Babet, Babet is contractually obliged to post. This is a part of his job description. You know, all senators do it, right? I mean, that's what he thinks. And, and Rukshan's enjoying the grass-fed offcuts there. Since we are all essentially paying for these posts, we should be able to enjoy them. Because all he does as a senator is post. Now, I'm sorry, some of them are paywalled.
Yeah, we did cover this last episode.
Yes, but we're just going to go with the free ones, the public ones. We're not in the private.
No one's
system.
paying for Bab's tweets. I guarantee you.
4 people are.
4 people.
Good Lord, why bother? Anyway, so look, Babet has a lot to say about the traditional family structure. He believes strongly in the nuclear Christian family, which is strange because he doesn't seem to have one.
He doesn't have one. And also, we might sort of say when he's talking about nuclear families, give the wife a bit of a biff every now and then, keep her in.
Ooh, allegedly.
Allegedly.
I mean,
well, we know for a fact.
Well, there is
for
criminal.
At least two DV sort of matters.
Yeah, there's definitely criminal history
definitely
there.
one, and there was another assault's a bit murky.
Yeah.
And the Victorian system allows offenders, which is weak as piss, to avoid conviction in order to go into some sort of
training programs and shit,
there's a
which you can see
program.
have worked so well on him, right?
Yeah.
It's just embarrassing. So look, I know what you're saying. Babet openly hates women. Why would anyone date this man, let alone breed with him? He's a walking red flag, right? And I also know what you're thinking. There's a sassy remark coming up that's going to sort of tie all this together. No, there's no sassy remark. Babet is just a hate-filled, unfuckable potato, and he will never see love in his life because he is him. Like,
it's
that's
true.
That's that. Like, there's
true.
nothing really. But the thing is, here's the sassy retort. It's not actually his fault. It's women. Women are the problem.
See, that's what I was thinking.
They are the problem. Yeah, so we figured this out, and Babet's actually given us some guidance on this, which is very helpful because I can't see that. But hey, Babet's shown us the way. So look, it's not just women though. Men are the problem as well. But men are only the problem because society has been feminized. So it all loops back to women.
Here we are, Joel, wearing oversized balloon breasts.
Exactly. Well, it's the hops that did it to me. I mean, It's not society. It's just hoppy beers. I'm sorry. I just love delicious hops. So this is what he actually tweeted on the matter.
The more feminized a society becomes, the less free and more repressive it is. Do you get it?
Do you get it?
No,
Do you
I
get
don't.
it?
Babs,
Do you get
I
it?
really fucking don't.
Do you get it, though?
What's your logic here?
Do you get it? Okay, yeah. Now, I must say, I did notice when I was looking up that Madeline character from earlier, she kicked back on this saying, tell me more about Iran and all the women that are oppressive over there, which is like a pretty reasonable slap back on that. But anyway, he also posted a bizarre, like, sort of video of a woman kissing a baby with this comment.
Oh. See, Sam. Anyway, imagine how much propaganda it took to convince women to go and sit in a cubicle to look at Excel spreadsheets all day rather than becoming a mother and spending time raising her own children. Retarded. I am retarded. No.
He just loves using that word.
Retarded. Yeah.
It's so edgy. Oh, my God. Look, I was 15 once too, Babet. I really was. And it was great. And, I moved on. But I just don't know what the fuck he's on about. Like, obviously, you can see why the man is single, but like, imagine going to a Tinder date and being like, "Oh, so what bullshit job do you do that you DEI'd into that no one actually respects and it produces nothing?" And it's like, sorry, I got to go to the bathroom. It's got to take my bag with me because
the Irish goodbye.
Yeah, 100%. So he says this in the comments of that post.
The system has recently been re-engineered. I'll undermine the family and you weaken the nation. We're watching it happen in real time. This is the sort of shit the DLP used to go on about in the 60s, by the way. Those pulling the strings, God only knows who they are, don't want strong families or sovereign states. They want both dismantled. Do you understand?
Yeah. Do you get it now? Do you get it?
No.
You get it?
Mate.
No, you don't get it? No. That's a shame. So look, none of this makes any sense whatsoever. Is the system that undermines the family the reason why you can't find someone who wants to be with you and procreate?
He's a happy bachelor, Joel. He's never going to be pinned down.
Yeah, well, chicks are the worst. Why would you want them other than to breed? But then breeding means you have to be nice to them. This whole thing's a fucking rigged system. See, I think the problem is you're a misogynistic, unfuckable potato.
It could be it. I think that's a workable theory.
Okay, cool. Glad we're on the same page. Babet is also a man of current events. And what is more pressing than the Iran war? But let's not focus on the detail here because you get bogged down. The real issue is what the Aussie battlers are facing. Increased price at the pumps. Now,
it's tearing a family apart, Joe.
Exactly. If you've got one, it's tearing it apart. Otherwise, it just means it's more expensive to fill up your Mercedes you have on finance because you're so good with money. So Babet is an ideas man, so he knows how to fix the whole thing, no problem. It just seems he isn't telling us, or anyone for that matter, what the solution is. But he knows what it isn't, and that is fuel rationing. It's an insult to Australia. It's ridiculous. Babet is shocked that Alba would suggest that people try to minimize their fuel usage during a fuel crisis. Despicable. Suggesting that people work from home or even worse, occasionally catch public transport.
Communism.
That's fucking communism.
Definitely communism.
So look, I've scrolled far enough down to see the video with Babet and Antic doing some skit about the EU president Ursula von der Leyen.
God, that sounds awful.
Oh my God, it was so shit. And they're not interested in her visit, which is this edgy, weird thing of being like, oh, I don't work. And that's somehow cool, even though I'm on a taxpayer salary in the deep six figures. It really does make him look like the useless, pointless waste of space that he is. And Alex Antic, it's just embarrassing that Liberals ever let him near the keys, and South Australia will never go
well,
blue.
they're feeling the consequences now in South
Australia. They
are,
and they will for some time. But look, I'm not going to click the video. It's shit, but it just seems that old Ruction still has a job, which was really nice. Babet is completely humorless despite his best efforts, and honestly, it is just sad. It has been an utterly pathetic week in Ralph Babet.
Terrible.
But all weeks are the same. This is a man who does absolutely nothing to make this country a better place. And due to his toxic little brain that swims in a pool within his puffy potato head, lots of space, he will never see happiness in his life. And it's everyone else's fault, but mostly women.
Mostly women.
No, it's entirely the fault
and maybe a few kids.
Well, maybe some feminized men as well. That's the real problem, not him.
And you have been listening to the Conditional Release program with feminised hosts Jack the Insider and Joel Hill.
To be fair, I've had some hops today. I'm feeling quite phytoestrogenized. So look, you can find us on Twitter if you want, on at Jack the Insider or Crunchy. We should just remove this from the fucking script. I just don't check it. Anyway,
there was a great tweet. It was just a wonderful image. It was Trump, and I did actually repost this, and it was Trump and Melania on the balcony of the White House with the Easter Bunny. The Easter Bunny. It just looks so ridiculous in photo. And Paul Schofield, whoever he is just wrote while posting the photo, "Am I stoned right now? I must be stoned."
Yeah.
It's very funny. Anyway,
you wish
so
you
I have
were.
a little bit of a look at, and I always check my DMs. So.
But the shit posting group's really good on Facebook, so look that up.
Oh, definitely, yes. That's where you should be spending your time. I did see we've got a request from a request to join. Looks kosher, so we'll slip him in.
Yeah.
And of course, we have a Patreon to help keep this sustainable. And as we discussed before, for as little as $5 a month, you'll have access to all sorts of bonus content, including a premium episode. Go to www.patreon.com /the Conditional Release program and see what's available. And finally, all feedback, tips, and death threats should be sent to the Conditional Release program at gmail.com. We would love to hear from you, even if it's to tell us.
You got to make it up. You got to make it up because the line we put in there.
It's
too late notice. I saw that. I'm like, oh man, I thought you were going to skip over it.
Okay.
We
would love to hear from you, even if it's to tell us that your balloon boobies are bigger than ours.
Oh, that was good. And you had no time for that. Okay, well done. Yep, clap, clap, clap. I would have gone hops. I'm obsessed with the hops.
When it comes to boobs, I kind of know what I'm talking about.
It's true. You've got professional form as a pornographer.
Thanks, listeners. We'll see you next time.
All right. Thanks, guys. Bye.
I don't think I ever want to talk to any of those people.
Fuck me!